Lofi. Yo, daydreams drif my off space toe, terwyl ek my space boos mense om my stop, van volle sinne begin te maak en die een woord in my kop insink, visions van 'n big en maar vir nou moet ek aan my kan dink, ek skryf die verse op 'n two-tension, terwyl ek wonder hoeveel meer kan ek inbring, en even though my verlede so beter, wonder ek nog steeds hoe my verlede my lewe kan beter, thoughts van dwelm so op stook, hardloop deur my kop, maar op dieselfde tyd woorde van God, mense not live by bread alone, but by every word that precedes sy mond, seek sy songs, speak sy tong, defeat die wrongs, die king gaan kom, al sien jy hom, lyk vir my dat meeste mense nie is verglo nie.
Reeze used to sit under the trees at St. Dominic's at night because we had no transport. But anyway, I think there he picked up his cricket ability, and he was an awesome cricketer.
Back in 2004, 2005, I was a professional cricket, a semi-professional cricket player playing in the Northern Nashua Titans franchise. Where I furthered my cricket career. Obviously, while playing over there, I got recognized to go play overseas, and also got the opportunity to do 12-man duties for South Africa back in 2006 when they were playing a test match against Zimbabwe.
I'm sorry to say it, but when the Australians were here, and I opened the Herald the Saturday morning and saw Andy Bickle, the medium fast bowler, said he was surprised, and they were, quite taken aback by the way that Reeze overbowled them. And not knowing much about cricket, I didn't want Reeze to bat. But Reeze wanted to bat, and then he wanted just to hit the six.
Well, that's in the air. And it's caught. And brilliant.
But during that time, I picked up an injury where I tore my Achilles tendon. So then, obviously, seeing the doctor, I was sitting in his consulting room, and he obviously did his test. He, did his evaluation and stuff, and came back and asked me that, that he has some good news and he has some bad news as well. Well, when he sat me down, I said to him, "Doctor, just give it to me straight. There is some good news as well." And he said to me that if you wait more or less 5 to 6 years to 8 years, and if you are so good, as the people say you are and as how you have said you are, then you can obviously make your comeback and stuff like that. But I guess he was trying to, how can I say, comfort me in a sense, to say, look, it's not over, there's hope and all of that. But as he was telling me this, and as I was counting on my hands, and I went 22, 23, 24 to 25, I said to him, "But Doc, you and I both know that there is no comeback for me."
Yeah, good, Sean. That's good, Sean.
Coming back home and then switching on the TV and stuff, seeing them play, which was the same people that I now became friends with. You know, the same people that I would share a change room with. Now seeing them playing on the TV and not being able to play with them. When I saw them playing on the TV as such, I thought to myself that I am supposed to be there. I got depressed, I got sad, I got angry. I actually literally started to hate myself, to hating the people around me and stuff like that. I started blaming everyone else but me.
Problems started, I wasn't aware of it. You know, it wasn't in my line even to associate a thing with what Reeze was going through. He just used to ask for money and I used to give, and whatever he wanted I used to give. Otherwise, we went through a difficult time with Reeze.
Zoe ik dit, ik kijk die treffer. Aan elke opgeëfte, afgetreden medemens. Hoors vol drop-out lippen. Rondgesmekte, oorgetrapte, omgekapte meer. Schoorgesoekte, lam geloopte, aan die dam gedoopte. Plepte, skekte, stoende reppe. Kille performance, type reppe. Kille sa gomme, type reppe. Amme wat dreerig, so de skas. Ik sê, de meeste van my braase pille maak hulle slow dance. My braase so verlief op die takkele.
Reeze's story is not unique. You know, Reeze's story is something that I see. I actually see it on a daily basis. Somebody falling from grace every day. Some people fall from grace, like in the case of Reeze, on the verge of an essay in the national cricket team, to taxis. Some people fall from a standard 8 or a grade 10. They fall to beggars on the street. There's a fall of grace, and I think that is the sad thing about drugs. Nobody tells you up front it's going to end badly.
Well, that's in the air, and it's caught, and brilliant.
I guess the change came about when I started feeling that I am, or that the world owes me things. You understand? I guess I started to feel like, you know, that everyone else owes me.
Yo, ik check myself on my flight op tak. Los my mind nou op cruise control. Feels like I'm losing, dat ek flow so te lose nou. My boetie se lewe word elke dag deur boost control. Ek sy skryf ek dog toe, dis wat die solution is. Feels like I'm at home, my voete wat binne kan bootse is. Now that I'm just sober, it's back to the basics. Looking up at the sky, realizing real life to the eyes
So, what became, or what was a weekend drug thing for me was now a daily habit that took place in my life. There were times that I would go out with friends and go and smoke with them, but most of the time I would find myself by myself smoking. That was me. Because I guess smoking crystal meth isolated me from society and stuff, and also from my family. I didn't want to be around anyone but by myself, because I had smart to smoke. I wanted to be alone. The only other people that I would be with was with the friends I used to smoke with.
Doesn't matter how you end up by meth. But that first hit is the worst hit. I've seen it too many times where that person, they say to you once they've lost all, they say to you, at first I used it the one night, night one. I used it again 2 weeks later. I didn't think there's a problem. I used it 2 weeks later, which takes me to week 4. By week 5, I was using it every day. So within 5 weeks, this guy has actually felt the full brunt of methamphetamine. Here we call it tuk. I can tell you, I've heard the story too many times, and it don't end there. You don't just stop. You've got to lose it, but you've got to. But the clients, I see, they've lost their house, they lost shop. There's a guy that's lost businesses. There's wife, children, business. But the worst thing you lose, actually second worst, second worst is your mental health, the psychiatry of it. I mean, we've got a crisis within our mental health department, because we've got this revolving door. Because is it a psychiatric issue or is it a social issue?
My personality started to change. Me as a person as well started to change. My values were gone. My identity, me, Reeze, was gone. I started to walk around with more anger, with more hate. I would actually get people coming to me to remind me who I am, like where I'm supposed to be, but I'm on the vans, I'm doing this and all of that stuff, that people would come and say to me, yeah, I'm throwing my life away, I choose to do this. And obviously, as my smoking started to continue, people obviously saw a change in me. I started to become thin. The way I dressed and stuff like that also. At times I wouldn't even cut my hair, for instance. At times there were days that I wouldn't even shower me, for instance. That I would wake up, put on my stuff and just go and work. Because I know that if I miss this day, it's a day that I will miss in order to smoke.
Yo, let's get it. Vastgevangen, koude kaken, koude na kaken op koude straten. Follow waar je paar jaar later, het elke ochtend van jou voel. Net zo'n blauwe maandag voel, dit voel zo'n blauwe maandag voel.
Afterwards it got so bad that my family found out and I went to my first rehab, because what happened was I stole money out of my mother's purse. With the mindset now I'm gonna replace it, you know, and say to look at mommy, it hurts me and whatever. But the fact of the matter is I stole it. Why am I stealing the money from her? You know, was the question she asked, and then they found out, now, okay, right, I'm on these things, and then I went to my first rehab at Shepherdsfield. I went to Shepherdsfield, you know, after 2 years of smoking rocks. I went to that rehab, found God, you know, got baptized. I was in the rehab for 4 months, came back, but now remember I got sectioned to the court because my mother used the court in order to send me to rehab, because that is just how my mother operates. She's like she is a very strict woman, and sy sê wat sy wil sê en sy sal doen wat sy wil doen. And it was so for her because I didn't come to them. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't come to them to a point where I should have shared what I was going through, and I was trying to deal with this thing still. It was 2 years now, I'm still trying to deal with this thing. 6 months out of being from rehab, I think what happened was that I started to ride around in the vans again. I started to work on the vans again. What happened was I started to smoke tuk casually. And again, it was just a Saturday thing. Work the whole week, smoke on a Saturday. Started to go out, started smoking tuk. Tuk destroyed my life. You know, within my time of usage of tuk, I lost myself. I lost myself to a point that I lost myself to a point where within 3 years, I had no more cash. Within 3 years, I actually found myself stealing from my friends. You know, of using tuk, I lost my life. I lost my soul.
Vida Jesus is altyd daar. Hou jou kop vas. Die Lord is aan jou kant. Hou jou kop vas. So hou jou lamp aan die brand. Hou jou kop vas. Alles sal lewe die mekaar. Hou jou kop vas. Vida Jesus is altyd daar. Hou jou kop vas. Die Lord is aan jou kant.
There's this thing that happens whenever a person stops. When you go back, it's actually worse than it was before. And when I went back all the time, it actually got worse and worse for me. It was this thing that was throwing me back towards it all the time. It's like I cannot get rid of this thing that was pulling me back. And this time, I started to associate myself with gangsters, you know, and actually said to him, look here, I will sell for you. Understand? And then my payment would be that they would either say to me for, okay, if you sell so much, then you can keep this or that and that. So basically, I would sell to smoke.
We're constantly chasing. And I find it difficult to say we're chasing what. And this is why I think we are getting ourselves into trouble. Because we're chasing the speed. Now what we know about addicts are, they love, you and I will take a shortcut to get from point A to B. But what we know about addicts is they only take shortcuts because it's a shortcut. They don't even know where they're taking the shortcuts. But like I said earlier, the lifestyle now is that we all want to take shortcuts. We lack solid foundations, and I'm, you know, talking about instant gratification. When I explain to people that it takes at least 6 months of abstinence for you to make real inroads into breaking the cycle of addiction, it's like, huh?
Every time that I would smoke up the stuff, my granny had to be the one that would fulfill that payment and stuff like that. I would go back, mommy, I need this and I need this much. Oh, look here, I would take a phone from these people and stuff like that, and I need to pay them back and everything else. I would make up lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Then one night, on a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, that I had to cash in right now. And I didn't have the money and stuff like that to pay them. I said, mommy, something bad happened now. I need the money to pay these guys back, or else they're gonna take me, or I don't know what they're going to do to me, but it's gonna be bad. I made up this lie. 1 o'clock in the morning, my granny walked out of that house. I can remember the wind was blowing so hard that day. And if you must see my granny today, she's thin, she's thin. And I mean, the wind was pumping at it, was blowing. She walked, I sat like casually on the couch, looking towards where she had to go and find the money now for me to pay those guys. 1 o'clock. o'clock in the morning, and I watched her. That night there was dogs and stuff that were fighting in the street, and then she came on, and I don't know what it was she was thinking, but I know that my granny was not in a state of mind. And I went on in that house. I said, I'm gonna hit my uncle, I'm gonna throw this, I'm gonna break this. She had to go and find that. And then the dogs actually tried to attack her. And then she fell and she broke her knee. That as I watched how that happened, I watched everything. I didn't even move, I didn't do anything. The more that she was taking her time, I got more frustrated because she's not going to where she said that she was going to go. She got up, she came back, I watched her. And I watched her how she struggled to walk back home. To think that that time I did not even have the hint of remorse, that I did not even feel sincere for her. To think that I did not even care, seeing that she's hurt and that she's struggling to come back. I sat there and I opened the curtain and stuff, watching her how she came back into the yard. I had to leave. I found myself staying on the street again. I lived on the street. I lived on the street for 3 months, where I was staying from house to house again. I found myself back in the same routine, looking for a place to sleep. For 3 months I was staying on the street. For 3 months I had to find my own way. You started already.
I get to my client, how long are you, oh sir, no, I'm not drinking anymore, I'm not smoking, I stopped all my drugging, all my naughty, usually they call it naughtiness. I've stopped. Yes, so good, congratulations, man, how long you stopped now? No, 3 days, 2 days, I've stopped. Now in the back of my mind I've got, hey, that you need to be stopped at least for 6 months before you can really say you are making headway. And 6 months, I want to relate this back to Reeze. That's the amount of time you spent in a treatment facility. Theoretically it's correct. I'm not saying it's accurate, but theoretically it's correct. So people think that, you know, they don't know. They really just don't know. Because 3 months means that you've only just hit physical withdrawal. Right? And I've been through withdrawal, and I'm not sure about Reeze's story, but I can assume he's been through some form of psychological or physical withdrawal. And that thing makes you want to.
I found myself 7 years down the line, that 7 years of my life was gone. I was once a professional sportsman. Now to a point, 7 years later, a drug addict staying on the street. I came to the realization that I am not worthy to stay here. I had to make a plan. I even had thoughts again to say, I need to kill myself. And what happened was that where I was staying, my mother's fridge was stored at. And I made plans to steal that fridge, and I stole that fridge. I stole that fridge and I sold it for 300 rand. And I said, tonight is the night that I'm gonna kill myself.
lives. So you've got this first phase, right? They say it lasts for up to 15 days, but it can go up to about 28 days. And that's only phase 1 of your recovery process. Yeah, I know where I'm going to with this. So that's only the first phase of your recovery process. You know, when you get past that first speed up, your second phase is what they call that honeymoon phase. Oh, I have overcome. I'm cured. I'm going out to save the world. So imagine you've been drowning in the sea and the lifesaver swam out to pull you back in, and you're on the shore and you've just gotten your breath back. And now you decide, no, I'm going to dive back in to go save the lifesaver or to go save somebody. And so that is how people fall. That they go back, they go into a situation where there's no peer pressure, where there's a smell, where there's a sight, where there's a touch, where there's a feeling, where there's something that sets off the idea that it's okay. You know, our society is structured like this. If the Springboks beat the All Blacks, guess how do we celebrate? But let's say the Springboks lose more often than not to the All Blacks. Guess how we drown our sorrows? The same way as we celebrate. There's always a reason to. And so within recovery from substances, we need to figure that out. We need to get to that honeymoon phase. We need to learn how to become humble and to actually follow other people's guidance. But that's a story for another day. But the worst thing about recovery is that third phase. They call it between day 45 and day 90. They talk about the wall. I've been there. Who am I? What is your purpose? Why does bad things happen to good people? Why did I hurt the ones I love? Now in Afrikaans, they put it so nicely. They talk about the instorting and implosion of emotions. And that is the one that is the killer. You know what? You feel like you are absolutely alone in this world. Why I'm mentioning this is because theoretically Reeze had to get through that. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how depressed he was, because there had to have been depression. There had to have been a sense of stuff this, it's not worth it. And yet he's not, and yet he has not turned back. And so my respect goes out to him for that. For doesn't matter whether you see psychiatrist, psychologist, pastor, imam, whoever, at the end of the day you go home with that. And so you make it through that, and only there after that 90 days do you start adjusting to sobriety. What people also don't understand is, and I think this is something that I've only learned over the past 5 years, so I'm about 12 years sober, but over the past 5 years, there's a total difference between being sober and being recovered. Because recovery means I have recovered my self-worth, I've recovered my self-respect, I've recovered my dignity, I've recovered my respect in the community, I've recovered my education, I've recovered. And so when we talk about instant gratification, if you hear what I'm speaking about, 90 days, 120 days, 180 days, it makes it just that little more difficult. And so I give credit to Reeze that he's got through that by hook or by crook. Who knows? I don't know.
That particular Sunday night, when this whole thing came to a head, and I remember he wasn't living in the house with my mother and him. He was staying in the almost like the garage area there, and I mean there was basically nothing in the garage. When we walked in there, myself and the minister of the church, Reverend Johnny Thomas, paint drums and crates, and because there was really nothing in that garage. There was a mattress lying on the ground there, and you know, to have reached that that point, when we said to him, Reeze, we're here because we care. We love you, man. We're not throwing you away. We're not here to condemn you, and so forth. And then the Reverend spoke into the same way, and so forth. And he sat there, and his question was, Buddha, what can I do? What can I do? And unfortunately, by then, his mother already made inquiries for him to go to rehab. We just needed for him to come to that realization that he needs it, you know. When he got to Cape Town, according to his own testimony and those who worked with him up in Cape Town, that while his mother and stepfather was in the offices of the rehab station, he was in the car, and there was it was almost like a problem getting him admitted there, because he didn't see a doctor, there was no references and referrals and all of these things, and then they were going to have to go and see a local doctor, and it was a whole rigmarole that we never considered when he went up there. Almost as if they were going to come back home with him, because there was just no paperwork and stuff like that. And that in itself was a miracle. But Reeze was sitting in the car, and obviously he must have gone through quite a turmoil, you know, having traveled all the way from PE to Cape Town, which is an 8-hour trip, battling with all these things about where is he going to, but knowing that he needs this change in his life and so on. So he must have gone through a lot of things. You probably would be able to tell you more about that. But it's just logical that it couldn't have been easy. So he's sitting in the car, and his mother and him, he didn't even know about the big problem that they were having in the office with the director there. And all of a sudden, something happened to him in the vehicle. And according to his testimony, or he's telling me this, he said that he just felt this heat and some physical, something that happened, you know, and he needed to get out of the vehicle. But as he was making his move to get out of the vehicle, he felt this nausea, and subsequently had this vomiting experience as he got out. Now, from his mother-in-law's side, the director saw what was happening in the car park. And because now mother and stepfather thought that, you know, he's getting sick, and so the director said, no, leave him there. That, I believe, is the Holy Spirit working with him. So without anybody even praying for him, laying hands on him, counseling him or anything, Reeze had a supernatural, miraculous experience just between him and the Lord. And I believe that in itself, or it was already part of his testimony.
I look at this miracle of the students. You know, when I was inside there in the room, I just thought to myself, God is good. God is also making something out of nothing. Because we must be honest, and I think that the parents here today are the most honest ones to say, my child was nothing. But looking at my child today, God never gave up. Some of us might have given up, but God never gave up on what He made. And that is what the God we serve are being all about.
This thing is deep. It is, you know, if you're poor, there's no help for you. It costs something like, I know the cheaper places I know of, you're looking at paying about something like 7,500 Rand per month. Theory tells me that you need at least 180 days of clean time to make a go of sober living. And sometimes you need to be within a treatment facility. For Reeze to get out of that, I take my hat off. There's no intervention really on my side other than a moment or a word. And he latched onto it and he ran with it. And not only did he run with it, he's gone so far as to pay back. You know, he's tried his best to pay back. And I've been with him on some motivational talks. I've tried to I don't want to say mentor him, but I've always, I will share any professional knowledge that I have with him, because I know he's the kind of guy that wants to make good. And so he's the guy that I can say the risk factor for relapse is fairly low. It's not non-existent, but it's low.
Ek ken vir Reeze van toe nog 'n gaatjie gewees het. Hy het ook mos maar die snaaks so goed aangevang. Of had het toen tot op besluit gekom, hier vandaan tot die so ver is. Een dag toe kom trek jy man met 'n bakkie op wat hy nou ry. Net om verbaas. Ek het geweet as die man die wat ek nog tyd weer die taxi nog gesien het. Toe vra ek hom, Reeze, wat maak jy nou joh? Waar kry jy die bakkie? Ek sê, nee Dominic, span mos nou. Ek het toen de coach oudjes af. En ik sê, Dominic, die Here doen 'n wonderlike ding in 'n menselewe.
Oh, Dad. Hello, Dad. How are you, Dad? I'm coming soon. Just 2 more days, Dad. Just 2 more days.
But he's going to be pretty big for a newborn. I don't think you understand how small he's going to be.
Listen here. Listen to me.
Has your bum.
Listen to me. Hey, Jay. Shh. Listen. This is the first thing he's going to wear. That's just out of the hospital. Out of the hospital and into the house. He can take it off again.
For me, when I met Reeze, and for people like my dad and stuff like that, we don't view him and meet him as recovered addict or recovering addict. We meet Reeze, who he is now today. Family and friends from before had to deal with all of that. They still view him as recovered addict, recovering addict. But when it comes to my dad meeting Reeze, okay, that happened in the past, but who he meets now, who I was dating then and who I'm married to now, is just Reeze. It's just Reeze Telling. That story is still part of his life and it's built on to who he is today, but from our point of view, he's just Reeze. When I met him, he wasn't a drug addict. He was, technically, he was recovered addict, but I didn't meet all of those things. I just met Reeze Telling. When my dad heard about him, he knew about his past, but he knew that that was in the past. When he met him face to face and was hanging out with him and went to a hockey game and they're shoveling snow together, when they're here having coffee in the morning in South Africa before the wedding, it was just Reeze Telling. It wasn't an addict. It wasn't anything more than that. So my dad's relationship with Reeze is not built on, oh, I trust this man that's an addict that did all these bad things with my daughters. I trust this man that's a church-going man, that's a man of faith, that is grown so much previously in the last few years of his life. That's the man that he trusts with me being his daughter, not some addict that we don't know.
On the 16th of March 2011 is a day that I will never forget in my life, ever. That day was the day that I actually started to realize that my life was worth something. That day I walked into a place called Teen Challenge and my life was never the same again. That day I received Jesus. That day I received Jesus Christ in me. Or should I say that Jesus received me back into his kingdom was that the moment that I said that prayer, that Lord, please forgive me for everything that I have done in my life. Lord, please forgive me for the harm that I did to myself and also to my family as well, that He should give me the strength to overcome this. That day, I received Him. And that day, my life got changed. Do you know what? Of 7 years of drug use, I was in Teen Challenge and I didn't experience any withdrawals or had the urge to wanting to go and smoke again. I smoked 4 packets of cigarettes a day. That day, the 16th of March, I quit smoking and I've never looked back.
He is the most sincere, gratefully thankful person because he's been through so much. He's been at the bottom and he's come back out with grace. And it's the most unannoying gratefulness Christian attitude ever because it's so sincere and it's so genuine, and that's contagious. So obviously it improved me and my attitude and my spiritual side of things as well.
God has restored my life. God has repaired my life. God even restored my relationship with my family. He restored my relationship with people who I have done harm to. God has given me a second chance in life. And I don't think that I will ever go back again. Today, if I must look back of the things that I have done in the past, I am not supposed to be here. I am not supposed to even be here on this earth. But because God loves me so much that He saved me and restored me to being the person I am today. And today I am 4 years clean. And I came out of that rehab in Cape Town with a mandate, with a goal, that I want to go and help others out there as well. I want to go and help those people, those friends who I even sold to. But I said, Lord, please help me to help them. But I knew that that shouldn't be my goal. My goal should be that I should become a better man for Him. So that whatever I do it for Him. And then He will use that in order to speak to other people out there.
In the last 6 months or so, I've had quite a lot to do with Reeze, and I'm very chuffed to have him as a coach. I think he's a very enthusiastic guy, as you will know, around the nets. He talks a lot, he encourages the kids, and the nice thing about it, he's had a bit of experience, he's had a bit of what I would say disappointments in life when it comes to his sport and to his personal life, and he's always been able to fight back, and I think that's important when you start teaching kids, especially on the cricket side. There's cricket itself is like a life cycle on its own. There are a lot of disappointments. You don't score 100 every day of your life. You don't score runs every day of your life. You don't take wickets in every session that you play. So there's a lot of disappointments, and you need to, as a good cricketer, needs to be able to handle those disappointments to only be able to fight back the next day.
God had created a platform for me to be able to share what He has done in my life and spread this hope, to spread this story to people in schools, in churches. Do you know what? If you had to ask me this, Reeze, 7 or 4 years ago, do you see yourself preaching in a church? I would tell you, man. But because of what God did for me, I found myself preaching in 3 churches thus far. And I know that God can use me. No matter what I've done, God can still use me as I am and touch people out there.
Like this.
Alles so lewe die mekaar.
Hou jou kop vas,
Wie dat Jesus is altyd daar.
hou jou kop vas,
Die loon is aan jou kant.
hou jou kop vas,
So hou jou lamp aan die brand.
hou jou kop vas.
Alles so lewe die mekaar.
How did you feel when you met Reeze for the first time?
First off, that evening, we get into Port Elizabeth. It was a beautiful afternoon. We didn't mind going to South Africa at all, getting out of the winter because it was summer over there, so that worked out great. And nice start to the evening. We went out and had supper at a nice open restaurant looking out over the ocean, and we could soon see the relationship between Reeze and Lisa and how much they meant to each other. So that just confirmed with us that yes, God had blessed and things were going to work out okay.
Is there, after finding out that Reeze was a past drug addict, is there any advice you gave your daughter?
Didn't really have a lot of concerns, but I just asked a couple questions that I had on my mind. Was first off, given the drug addiction and the length of time, approximately 7 years, I asked her once, I said, so is there any scars, both emotionally or behavioral, from Reeze's addiction, and that you are concerned with, or that we should be concerned with? And she assured me, no, I don't really see anything, with the exception of somewhat behavioral, where he was kind of timed out from ordinary society and not maturing as a ordinary young man, i.e., education and job and that sort of thing, that he had somewhat missed those years in maturing on some behavioral traits.